In a crowded and competitive genre, there are two ways to stand out, the hard way and the easy way. The hard way is trying to be a facsimile that is as good or better than the original, which creates a high watermark to be judged against. The easier way is to offer something unique that has the potential to expand the genre in new or interesting ways. Flintlock does the latter, with its crown jewel being the combat system. At the core, there is a Souls inspiration with an emphasis on timing, but the focus is around three key elements and the rhythm between them: melee, black powder, and dark magic. Combined with a gorgeous world and an underexplored backdrop, and Flintlock makes a case for itself. Before jumping in, we just wanted to take a quick second to talk about our 2024 goals as an outlet. Our two main goals are getting more quality comments and getting to 15,000 subscribers. Our mission is doing this while creating a more elevated and positive environment without negativity and toxicity. If you enjoy what we're doing and this sounds like something that you want to be part of, then the most important thing that you can do is to leave a positive or constructive comment. This will help with the algorithm, which will encourage more people to comment and will help us grow, but it will also help foster the environment that we're trying to cultivate with other like-minded individuals. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn feels like the first game to truly explore the gunpowder fantasy or Flintlock fantasy genre, which is all about magic and muskets, blending together a universe that existed hundreds of years ago where Flintlock weapons were ubiquitous, with a dark fantasy world full of magic is where the lines get blurred. Flintlock ends up being less of a competitor in the Souls genre and more of an entry point with only a few of the essentials. Flintlock ends up leaning heavier into the action RPG genre as it draws more parallels to games like God of War. Combat, while it does feature timing, requires you to be much more aggressive, and this is due to how your weapons work and the lack of stamina meter. To gain gunpowder charges and magic, you need to land melee attacks, and you need to focus on all three pillars to effectively dismantle enemies, which becomes much more challenging as the game wears on and new challenges arise. The reputation that you gain from defeating enemies provides a very unique spin, with a multiplier being added for what type of attacks you use combined with how long you can go without being damaged. Reputation can be used to expand your skill tree or upgrade equipment back at the caravan, and depending on your playstyle, Flintlock has three decently sized skill trees that allow you to slightly tailor your experience between magic, gunpowder, and melee. The UI is clean, the voice acting is good, the soundtrack has some epic moments that showcase its versatility, although sometimes they were misplaced, and it also features a traversal system that features double jumps, air dashes, and flight that made for some stunning and interesting platforming sections. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn is a AA wolf dressed in AAA sheep's clothing, because for every highlight of the game, there was usually some type of refinement or polish issue that truly held it back from greatness. The good news is that these shortcomings didn't affect gameplay, but they did hamper the immersion. For example, there is solid voice acting, but the facial animations and character quality outside of the main character felt a little unrefined. It was also frustrating to try and get immersed in the universe when dialogue-heavy exchanges happen between the two protagonists, and then you end up in a surprise battle and they just keep speaking. It was hard to hear and focus on the plot when bullets and swords are heading your way. Even your companion Anki didn't have a moving mouth. Now, this might have just been a design choice, but it never felt right. Most cutscenes tended to break immersion because of these features, but there were also cutscenes that featured black and white art with minimal animation, and these were extremely well done and should have been used more often than they were. The reputation system that allowed you to increase your multiplier was a very unique aspect of Flintlock, and was a system that rewarded skill, but more often than not, it would be reset due to being attacked from an off-screen foe, and this would usually end up just being a low-level skeleton who wasn't there at the beginning of the fight because some of the dead come up from the ground. Battling the gods was fun and did provide a deeper challenge than the other enemies, but they did lack an epic nature that I was hoping for when you hear of the word gods. The good news is that the final boss was epic in scale, but it did lack good combat design, with movement being out of the scope of what the game had trained you for up until this point. And this is not the feeling that you want to be left with at the end of the game. Coincidentally, Flintlock is about challenging gods, and this feels analogous to A44 attempting something closer to AAA, which ends up competing with studios that have nearly 500 employees, decades of experience, and drastically higher budgets. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn finds itself wedged between good and great. Great ideas with good refinement and execution in a case study that truly exemplifies what separates AA from AAA. although considering that at times the line is being blurred, ends up being a testament to the excellent work and growth from a studio that is clearly on an upward trajectory. Until next time, remember to be nice to your fellow gamer, but more importantly, be nice to your fellow human.